library is on the Village Hall marquee, and a bus detour rerouting has been done with Pace Bus already, so that the bus doesn't come down Black Hawk. We need everyone to be in the parking lot before 8:20 because the police are going to close the streets at 8:20. So the race actually starts at 9, and the family walk is at 9:15. If you have any more questions, please call 534-4837 for Parks and Recreation, or 367-4712 if you have any questions for me during the morning hours. Okay.
Thank you. Any others?
That's why you're here tonight, huh?
Good evening, Mayor, Board of Trustees, Madam Clerk, Madam Village Manager, Mr. Treasurer, and citizens, guests, fellow department heads. This is going to be a very quick report. Just want to go over 4 quick topics of importance that's coming up pretty soon. In June, we will have a community law enforcement safety forum that will be held. That date will be posted within the next couple of weeks. We are currently working with all the community groups, block clubs, residential organizations to get everybody on board and coordinate that date. And once that occurs, a firm date will go out, everybody be invited. And this forum basically is going to be law enforcement focused to go over crime tips for the spring and summertime, obtain citizen concerns. On this forum, it'll be myself, the village manager, and our entire police department command staff, from myself down to the sergeants, the shift sergeants, so the community members know who the law enforcement leadership is in the community, and so they can properly, convey and express their concerns in one open forum. And this is, number one, to bring the community together so everybody knows everybody in the community, so the community knows what's going on. And so if community members have like issues, those issues can be addressed in an open forum. The second announcement I have is regarding the subject of squatters. I understand squatting has been a very, very rampant issue in the village. Since I've been chief and prior thereof, I have to be very open and say that the police department can only do what they're allowed to do lawfully in regards to squatting. Squatting is typically a civil matter, unless the squatting turns into some type of criminal activity. Just because a squatter is in a home does not necessarily make it trespassing because of various civil and legal requirements in regards to squatters' rights. As members of the board have said prior, as I said prior, as the village manager said prior, the law does give a significant amount of rights to squatters. I'm just being open and saying that this message being conveyed to say that the village will do all they can to combat this, but it is a process. It is a legal process to deal with the matter.
This ain't like somebody telling me.
Yes. Okay? It's a legal
And,
process.
I agree with Trustee Ruda said that, and it's true. It's like someone's getting a list, because it is some kind of something going out here, because they've come to report it to all of us that people are there and it's a scam. And then once the person wants to get out of there, then they say, well, I've been paying rent to somebody, and we're like, cool, and how's this getting done? So someone apparently is giving a list on the vacant houses as soon as it happens. But we do have a squatters, folks, thank God we have a squatters ordinance we did put in. Thank God we did do something to try to prevent it as much as
So
possible.
what I was going to state is, as soon as the village is aware, the police department in partnership with code enforcement will start writing the appropriate violations so that this ordinance can be properly enforced, so legal action can be taken, so squatters can be removed. I'm asking for the community for their patience and understanding with this issue, to go and attempt to remove squatters from a home without appropriate legal justification and research can place the village in significant liability as far as law enforcement is concerned. So when we get these addresses, I immediately contact Public Works, and myself and the Public Works Director work tandemly together to go to these homes, inspect them, attempt to board them up, and make proper notifications so proper enforcement action can be taken.
Hey, Chief, let me ask you. So what would you suggest to a resident who has suspected people moving into them? What would you suggest their actions be?
My suggestions to the residents is to first contact the police department. If you see any suspicious activity going on in any home in the Village University Park, the police department does have an obligation to investigate and to look into that matter. So contact the police department. We will make an appropriate assessment. Based on that assessment, the information we forward over to code enforcement for them to take enforcement action, which will be followed up by enforcement action by the village. Then the enforcement action goes towards the banks that own the home. That's where the enforcement action happens. So when that occurs, then the banks, based on the enforcement action, will file appropriate proceedings to get those individuals legally removed from the house based on the eviction process.
So, there was a house on Cordova that people just, it seems like people come to those houses, they stay for a short amount of time, just like this last election cycle. We just been checking some houses after the election, and the people were gone, but they cast 5 and 6 votes for those houses. How did these people get into them homes, and what role does code enforcement play in accessing those properties? Would code enforcement have a legal list? Would it be a legal action, or would it be a code enforcement thing for occupancy?
It's a code enforcement matter, because when homes are vacant, the code enforcement is supposed to be notified when homes are vacant in the village. And they're supposed to be maintaining an appropriate list for the code enforcement, for the police department, for the clerk's office, so we're aware what homes are vacant, so we can try to prevent that from occurring.
So even a renter should have a certificate of occupancy before they take control of the premises.
That is correct.
And a homeowner should have a transfer stamp or something that's been authorized through our city hall before they take possession
That is
of the
correct.
property.
But that's been going on since time, they said, and also as far as those apartments too, in this Maple, whatever, a lot of times people are in those apartments, believe it or not, as squatters. So it's kind of weird, so we hope that we can, the community will see something, say something as well. If they see people in those facilities, in those homes, that they would report that. Please report any, well, I know the people in Roseville have done that, and they're really adamant about that.
Yeah, exactly. And my position as the chief law enforcement officer for the village is, number one, protect the community members to ensure that their public safety is protected at the utmost. Secondly, protect the village from any potential liability, from any potential law enforcement action that may be unconstitutional, based on those individuals being in the home, and taking appropriate due diligence to make sure proper enforcement action is done to ensure that once those individuals are removed, there will be nobody else to take their place.
Okay, question?
I do have a question. Thank you for your information, Chief. The Hickory Creek development we have over on Cicero, I would tell you they have their own separate issues over there. And I would like for you guys to do probably a separate informational meeting with those individuals. They do have a setup over there where you can meet and greet, but I think they have issues that may mirror some of what we have, but you'll find that they're probably a unique set of issues that they should have resolved, such as, I can tell you that you can speak with, they ask us how many times will our patrolmen go there. Well, I do know that if an issue happens over there, we're supposed to respond first. And then Richard Park they come as an alternative, but we're supposed to respond first.
So let's talk about Hickory Creek. Hickory Creek, it is in University Park. Our law enforcement
It was annexed.
Yeah, annexed. Yeah, it is the police department's jurisdiction.
Right.
The issue we run into, and it's really not an issue, but it's just more of a logistical matter, that would be in our West B, which typically falls under the industrial part. So what tends to happen is, based on our call volume, we move resources based on the daily projected call volume, based on time of week studies and other things that are done within the police department. And the problem we run into is we have so much activity on the east side of town because it's a more populated area that our response times, if limited, EastCom immediately dispatches Richardson Park. And actually, the protocol right now is, if there is a Part 1 offense where it's bodily harm, armed robbery, burglary, or anything like that, or any crime in progress, EastCom's protocol is to dispatch University Park and Richardson Park simultaneously due to the potential of increased call time from this area in town to that area in Cicero. We got to look at construction on University Parkway. We have to look at metro trains, regular freight trains coming through. Any of those things can impede our response time. So I have worked with the chief of Richardson Park to ensure that that area, as far as law enforcement-wise and public safety-wise, has the appropriate amount of law enforcement coverage at any time we get an emergency call at that location.
Okay. And I certainly, I do appreciate that. I think part of what truly needs to happen, and the minute, once we get ourselves back up to speed, is that these residents are looking for visibility. I think that's the main thing, especially with the upcoming season. They're looking for visibility. I do understand, I can tell you, I worked in this town as a part-time for 15 years. If we had to have a response to the industrial park, there are ways to get over there without going through University Parkway.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get there in a relatively quick
Yes.
time. So,
Yes.
and I think the same would be if it is a Schedule I crime that we have, there's ways to go to get through. You get right there through Monique.
No, understood. And when we talk about projected response times, we're talking about average response times based on an average operating speed.
No, I'm with you. I understand. I know exactly what you mean. I'm just saying, we're talking, you talked about how certain areas will impede your progress. I'm just saying that, there are ways, the best way, if there is an issue in the regular route, the alternative is right here. Is right through Monique.
That's correct.
So
That's
that's all I was saying.
And just so you know, while we're touching on that subject, myself and the fire chief and the manager, as well as the public works director, have been in conversations about response times to the western part of the village based on the construction of University Parkway. And currently, we do have alternative routes. But just so the board is aware, we have very significant concerns with Drawley Road, with the condition of the road, more so for the fire department and their fire trucks getting through that area to go into industrial park. So we are working with the manager trying to find some type of alternative to get some road work done on that road, especially until University Parkway, the entire project is completed.
Okay, thank you.
Chief, I have a question. What's our relationship with Metro? Are we doing anything, because I got a phone call from someone that actually parks there once a month for the last 20 years, the same parking spot, and he's with the Department of Labor, and he called me and stated that we wrote him a ticket, and it's because he did not pay. He said, why would I not pay $1.25 and get a $50 ticket? So are we working, I know we had a relationship many years ago with Metro. Does that still stand, or
We
what are we doing?
have an agreement with the company that owns the parking lot. Metro sells the parking lot to a third-party company. We have an agreement to write citations for failure to pay for a Metro slot based on the information that's provided by the third-party company.
Oh, so they bring you some.
That third-party company meets up with us once a day, and they give us a list of people that did not pay. But this does touch on my third subject.
I have another question.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Because I would like to see that agreement for the board, let the board see that and how much we're actually getting revenue from that.
We get every single dime. There is.
You mean, when you say every single dime, you mean of tickets that you write?
Tickets that are
Okay,
written.
understood.
The village
Okay.
gets 100% of that.
All right, okay, that's fine, and he has an issue with that though, because he said he actually did pay that. But that's not for me to deal with. But the other thing too was, we had an agreement a long time ago to get a repayment from this person that stole from our grocery store. I mean, are we still getting that? Is that still there or what?
Mayor, first.
Just yes or no, I mean, I don't want to delay anyone.
No, we're not delaying anything. First, I have not seen this agreement.
Okay, it's supposed to be in the police department.
Okay. I
Okay,
have not seen the agreement to enforce it.
okay, thank you.
Third point, sorry for my extended report. My third point is citations are written by the village. We had a new adjudication hearing officer from Olson and Sturt. Based on her discussion with her and my command staff, any person in the public that gets any citation by the village, they have the right to come to an administrative review hearing that's held here once a month. Once those tickets are heard, we have the ability to rule on those tickets, dismiss those tickets, or do whatever we need to do as far as a disposition. The police department cannot and will not waive tickets prior to the administrative review date. Legally, the administrative review needs to happen. If we find an individual that was written ticket that was unwarranted, or we had no cause to write it, then those tickets will be disposed of accordingly.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Anything else, anyone else? I do have another question. And speaking of things that's historical that we are not collecting, there's a lot of money here that we haven't been collecting. I would like to see,